Very excited to be launching our new web portfolios. These are going to be your sort of home base in which you're going to highlight all of the learning you're doing, the work you're doing this year, some of your projects, your reflections, final pieces of writing, and we're going to help you build it out. So let me introduce you to your very own digital portfolio, new this year. All right, so you can, what I'm doing right now is I'm previewing the website I created. Down here you can see there's a preview options. This is the tablet. I could show you what it looks like in a browser if I click here. But let's leave that now and actually get behind the scenes. So your portfolio will have various new tabs. You're going to have an opportunity to copy the template that we've made for you and then personalize it. And I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process to see how you go about that. So the first thing we'll do is take a look around. So you can see here, this is my home page, and in it you can see here's a test. This is the header. It's my name. You can use your first name. We'd like you not to use your first and last name. It's just too much identifying information for the purpose of what we're doing, and we'd rather keep your digital presence a little bit, not anonymous, but a little bit less specific. So you would put at least your first name in here, or a version of that first name. And there's an About Me in my portfolio, which I've put in there for you, and you can personalize that further if you like. So that's that, and that's your home page. Now, if you have a look, so this is the web experience and what would be seen. You also have at the very top the menu, so home, trip experiences, project portfolio, reflections, and a photo gallery. Now, on the right-hand side here, you have the taskbar. So this is where you get to do everything. And here you'll be able to see the various options you have. You have pages. So this is like our architecture. This shows us what is in our portfolio. And then you have insert. This is how you're going to be able to add pictures, text boxes, image carousels, media if you like, all of the various things you'll want to add. And eventually I'll show you themes as well where you can further personalize your own portfolio. But let's for a moment focus on pages and have a look at those pages. All right, so we're looking at the pages and we've had a look at the different categories, and the main category is reflected in the menu option. So trips, experiences, projects, reflections. And if you have a look underneath, there's subheadings, and some of them are the whole page, like Toronto Islands. And you can see then when I go to, and I click on trip experiences, there is Toronto Islands. Now downtown trip and the others are all crossed out. That's because I've made them hidden from the navigation bar. So if I click on Toronto Islands, I have the choice to hide it. So if it weren't ready yet, I could hide it while I work on it. That's why all of these other ones, which obviously are not ready because we haven't been on these trips yet, are hidden. When I'm ready to use them, like when I'm ready to publish them, I would go click on the three dots, which is called the hamburger menu, and I would say show in navigation. So for example, I've already done that on the digital identity guidelines, which sits under my home tab in the menu. So if I go to digital identity guidelines, here I am, I have a look at it, digital identity guidelines. And in it are, essentially it's like the code of conduct for your online identity. And I'd like each of you to take a moment to read that. And when you've done that, you're going to write your name here. And that tells me that you are agreeing that these guidelines are good guidelines and that you promise to do your best to adhere to them. In summary, and I need you to read them, but in summary, it's pointing out that your online identity is really an extension of your own personal identity. In other words, anything that you say online would only ever be something that you said also in person. So this means that in addition to other sort of digitally specific sort of content, all of the York School's code of conduct is, in our core agreement, is also being encompassed by this, so you're being held accountable to that. So fundamentally, that means you wouldn't say anything to hurt somebody else. You're not going to say anything that's untrue. In other words, you need to back up with evidence anything that you say online. It says that you'll not share your personal information, meaning your address, your phone number, or that of your parents, or anybody else's. You also agree to respect copyright, so you won't share any sources without properly identifying them. And as a digital citizen, you also agree that when you have the opportunity to comment on other people's work, you're going to do so with a lot of kindness and respect, and that your comments will be focused on the content of the post rather than on the person who wrote them. And there's some other tips on how to be constructive online. So once you've read all that, you would write your name here, Sarah, or in this case, Gardy, which was the nickname I used. Okay, so now my digital guidelines are up to date. I've read them. They're not any longer hidden from navigation because I've put it all in there. So that's a nice example on your pages. One that's coming up, your personal land acknowledgement, you will be able to soon show in navigation and input your latest work and share it with your wider community. So what I'd like to do next is actually look at how do we add content now that we understand the architecture of the website. So I'll get to that next. All right, I think next is exciting to look over in our taskbar at how do we actually insert our very own content. So if we go and we click on insert over here, you'll see there's a whole lot of stuff you can insert. So you can insert a text box, you can insert images, and there's even other options that you can use if you like. But I'm going to start with the very basics, and I suspect over the course of the year you'll probably explore and experiment and learn all kinds of things that you'll show us. But let me start with the basics. So here, for example, on my homepage, I inserted text in order to add this about me and my portfolio. So let's have a look now. Like if I go to reflections, all right, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, okay, what Ms. Gardner has done for me is she's put placeholders on the various reflections I'm going to do between now and June. Now, Canadian identity, if I'm not mistaken, I've already done it. Maybe I could add that now. So let's do that. So let me go to my page that is Canadian identity. So I'm going to scroll down. It's not a tripper experience. It's not a project portfolio. It's a reflection, Canadian identity. Here it is. All right. And Ms. Gardner's already put the title in for me. Thank you. It identifies that this is a piece of writing that reflects my initial understanding of the Canadian identity as I begin a year-long study of how this country has grown, evolved, and as it now attempts to meet new challenges. And, oops, I'm just adding that now. As it now attempts to meet new challenges. And at the end of the year, I'll return to this and see how my own thinking has changed. So let's just say, here we are. I need to add a text box because I'm going to copy and paste what I did right earlier. So I'm going to go over here. It's on pages. I'm going to navigate to insert. I'm going to select text box, and there it is. So now I want to find the text I'm going to include. So I'm going to have to navigate into my Google Drive. And this is just the way that I want to do it. I go into my, oh, there it is, Canadian identity. And I'm going to grab this here, this paragraph I wrote, boom. I'm going to go back to my website, and I'm just going to copy and paste it in here. Oops, that didn't work. Ha. Let's do that again. I'm going to copy it. Oh my goodness, having difficulties. Command C. There we go. Let's just be sure. Copy, I come back here. And I'm going to paste it back in. There it is. That's my paragraph on the Canadian identity. So I have it here now. I'm worried that might look small, so I might play around with the font, the size, maybe even the type of font. And I'm going to be very conscious of trying to write something that is legible. So sans serif font, if you look, is the kind of font that is very clean. There's no extra curly cues. So you want to keep your font clean. You can see to be honest, if I go here and I change my font, some of these are a little more complicated to read. And so I don't want to use something that's like, maybe really pretty, like to be a person. That's kind of cool, but it might be hard to read. So I'm going to keep it tidy and use a font that is very legible. Okay? All right. So I've inserted text. Good. Now I also think, okay, this is kind of a boring black banner. What if I inserted something a little more interesting? So I say, okay, look at this. I can insert an image. Let's do that now. Insert image. And I could either select one from my own archive and go to a folder and choose it off my own computer, or I'm going to upload one from the web. So I'm going to go in here. Oh, sorry, I had that backwards. I can either upload it from my own computer, or I can select it from my Google Drive or from Google Images itself. So I'm going to search here. I'm going to just say Canada. There we go. And I'm going to pick up a cool map of Canada. There it is. I'm going to insert it. There it is. So that is my background. Oh no, that's not at all legible, is it? So that doesn't work. So I have some options. I can choose a different picture, or I can change my writing. But it's really important you pay attention to what's working. Even that yellow doesn't look very good. I might try good old almost black. That looks better. So you'll play around with it. And if I really can't find something I like, I might decide, you know what, that's not the right image. I'm going to go back and I'm going to select an alternative image. I'll go back to my Google Images. I'll write Canada again. And I'm going to find something that I think is going to do better in terms of how it displays with text. So maybe, for example, this black and white map will look better. Oh, that does look kind of cool. All right, so now I have a nice looking banner. I've got my title. I have the text that I added. So I'm doing pretty good. What I think I need to do is make it available. So I'll go over to my pages again. I'll come over here to Canadian Identity, and I'm going to make it available. Show in navigation. Done. Now, when I have a little look here, and I'm on home, when I go to reflections, I can see Canadian Identity in the submenu. This is exciting. Okay, my website is taking shape. All right, let's have a look at another page. So now I'm going to head over here to trips and experiences. I'm going to do the little triangle to see them all. I'm going to go to the Toronto Islands. I already populated this for you, so you can see I've got a picture for my header, a title. I've inputted my work on the Toronto Islands and what I thought of the master plan. And then I thought, oh, you know what would be fun? I took some fun photos. I'm going to put in here also a little gallery so I can see, just share some of the fun of the day. So it's hard to see here. I'd have to actually go into my preview button if I want to look at that gallery. I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so although it is kind of neat looking. So that's neat. But now what I want to do is I also want to connect it to my trips and experiences. This is my main page of trips and experiences. Look, here's Toronto Island, and the idea is a person could click on this and it'll take them directly to the Toronto Islands where I've done my writing and thinking. Now, that's cool, but I need to somehow, if I go back to my trips and experiences, I want to have something more interesting than coming soon now that I've done the work. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a screen grab of this page because it's kind of nice. It has the title right here. So I'm going to go Command-Shift-4. That's what it is on my Mac. And I'm going to grab the title with a little bit of the page, so that'll make my thumbnail. boom. So then I'm going to go back to trips and experiences. So I'm back in my taskbar looking at pages. I go to trips and experiences. I'm back here. I'm going to go to this little picture, and I'm going to replace coming soon. So I'm going to, up here is the little menu. I'm not going to remove the image. I'm going to click on the little hamburger menu, and I'm going to say replace image. I'm going to say upload it from my computer, and I'm going to go to my desktop where my where those pictures get saved, those screen grabs. I know it's my first one here, so I'll grab it. It's going to go in there. There, that looks so cool. So now when somebody comes to my home page of trips and experiences, they're like, oh, cool. I can see that there. And you'll see that best if I go to preview. So above my menu bar on my web page is another horizontal taskbar. You can see these two like undo and redo arrows plus preview. So I'll click on preview. Here it is. So now it's like I'm on a computer actually looking at the published site. When I hover over Toronto Islands, I see, oh, that's clickable. So I click on it and it'll take me to this site here, okay? Or this page, sorry. So cool. So that's basically done. Now I go back over here on the bottom right to click the X, in other words, exit preview. Here I am. So everything's looking pretty good. The one thing I noticed that looks kind of sad, my banner, I don't have a banner. So I'm going to go to images. I'm going to go to upload. It's always best to use pictures that you yourself took. So I invite you to do that as much as possible. So here are a bunch of pictures from that day on the Toronto Island. I'm going to kind of randomly grab one. Hopefully it's a good one. Nice. Look at those dudes. Okay. So now I got my trips and experiences banner all laid out. All right. Cool. So at this point, I'm feeling really good about my site. Excellent. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you on your taskbar over here as you make your website, you see we've been looking over on the far right at insert, how to insert elements or assets, pages, what's actually in your site. And then now if you go to themes, you can actually play around with what it looks like. So you can change the font size, the colors, you can do all kinds of things to make it more personal and to reflect more your personality. I'm sure there's a lot more capability that I'm not even exploring, but this is something we hope that you get into and excited about. We're going to share this with your families and your community so that you'll have an opportunity to get feedback from them, and also so they can see what you're up to. I always say I'm always most excited at what ICE students have to say about Canada than anyone else by the end of the year, because you've all become so knowledgeable. So when we get to that point at the end of the year, we'll take a look at this artifact that has become a repository of all of your awesome work and thinking over the year, and we'll bring in some of that content into your culminating mark. So in addition to your end of year marks that will be related to your exam and to your final projects, this portfolio will add a contributing factor to that final mark as well. So it's something to keep up over the course of the year, to feel really proud about, and to make as personal as you want. In fact, as you do that personalization, you can see I chose, you know what, I'm going to do like a photo gallery, because for me that's kind of fun. So I've added a photo. Oh, I didn't like this. I'm going to go back to my simple template. Here we go. Oh, I changed the colors. What's happened? Okay, so here I have a photo gallery. I really enjoy taking photos. And so I'm going to, just for fun, over the course of the year, take some fun photos that are related to what we're doing. They're maybe not like, they're not school photos, but they're, you know, on trips. They're related. So, for example, I thought the life jackets were kind of cool, geometrically speaking. I thought that picture was kind of moody that we took over by the pier. You know, perhaps I'm actually interested in poetry, and if I get brave enough, maybe I'll share some of my poetry. Maybe Mr. Gaia would share some of his songwriting. Leave it up to you what it is that interests you. You know, some of you might be sports fans and you want to follow some Canadian sports teams and post about them. Totally up to you. This is sort of extra, but it shows a real high level of engagement. So I'm going to leave it up to you at this point. I'm really excited to see what you're going to do. Maybe bookmark this YouTube video if these things don't come easily to you. And thanks for your patience as you listen to me go on about it. But hopefully you find some of this helpful. All right, have fun.